the difference between growth and scaling? And is there one? This is one of the most popular videos we have on YouTube. And I wanted to do an update on this because it's been many years since I recorded that one, and I have sort of more thoughts to flourish out what I was conveying in that video. So let's talk about growth and scale, and we're going to break them down and talk about where they overlap a little bit, but also where they differ. So all businesses, as long as there is market demand, have the ability to grow. And when we talk about growth, what we typically are talking about is revenue. So we would say, I want to grow my business, and often we're saying, I want to make more money. I want to bring in more money and grow it. And sometimes that means we're also growing our team, meaning adding more employees, or we're also growing what we offer. We could be growing products and services, offering new things in our arsenal. All those are things we can grow as business owners, and virtually all businesses have the opportunity to do that as long as there is ample market demand, meaning people who want to buy whatever the hell it is that you're selling. Okay, so there's that. Now, scaling looks a little bit different. When we think about scaling, and I want to say this up front, most people use this word incorrectly, and this is why I think educating about this is actually really important. Most businesses don't have the ability to scale in a traditional sense of how we think about scaling. The word scaling really stems from the world of technology and things where there is a unique thing that happens where you can develop something. Let's use an app as an example. I can develop an app and I can sell it to 100 people or 100,000, and it doesn't really matter. I don't have to do a hell of a lot more work because the app is already developed. 100 people can use it, or 100,000 people can use it, and I start to make a whole shitload of money when 100,000 people are using it because I'm not having to work a whole lot more. Yeah, there's some incremental cost to bring on more people, but by and large, we don't see an incremental number of expenses that go along with the growth. So come back with me to the growth strategy we were talking about before. Let's say I wanted to 10x my revenue. Well, in order to do that, I might go, yeah, dude, I'm gonna need some people to make that happen. And I'm gonna need to get some more, I don't know, maybe a bigger office. I need to buy computers and desks and all these things. We start to increase the expenses at the same time as we start to grow the revenue. Do you see how it's eating into the profit pool? Scalable businesses, on the other hand, it's not the same. You're kicking in a little bit more of an incremental expense, but it's low compared to that growth strategy. So scalable solutions like software, like apps, again, it's disproportionate. You can get a lot more users, a lot more customers without kicking in a significant extra expense. Okay, you with me? So does that mean that scalable businesses are unilaterally only in technology or only in SaaS or only in software, etc.? The answer is kinda, no, yes, maybe, depends on your definition. So I'm going to give you how I think about it. So yes, in a traditional sense, the answer would be, nah, it's not scalable unless it can do that. However, what I work on with my clients, and certainly when we start to talk about scaling, is how do we in fact build the business up in a way that does allow us to experience a little bit of the incremental profit without kicking in a lot of the incremental expenses. There are ways to do that, and I'm going to point you into a couple of areas. So the first is your systems and processes need to be on fire. That is a way that any business can experience scale. So if you're a person who's been I've been really reluctant to document this or build this process or to get a piece of software to house this thing, to make this thing easier, now might be the time. So if you want to make your business a bit more scalable, you want to have systems and processes to make it do that. They make things easier to run and to be more efficient. That is a way that you do that. Now, the second is obviously offering some different things that potentially are more scalable. So what we will often see, for example, and I'll use my industry as one, sometimes you'll see a coach who does work one-on-one or works in groups, but then they offer something else in their arsenal. Maybe it's a book, maybe it's a course, maybe it's a downloadable thing. Those things are scalable, generally speaking, because they can create them once and they can sell them bunches and bunches of time without kicking in more of their one-on-one time. Now, to be clear, you always need to test for market viability. You shouldn't just try to add things that are scalable without understanding whether there's a market for it. Separate conversation. Okay, now, last thing I'll leave you with. Also, one of the things we want to think about when we are saying, I want to scale up my business, is people. So even though people in many cases do kick in incremental costs to hire them, to onboard them, to train them, etc., oftentimes we pay very little for a human to help us do something that allows us to achieve a lot more work. So I would encourage you that if you've been thinking about your business of like, I don't know if I can afford to hire, can you afford not to? Can you really grow your business in a way that's meaningful without getting someone to help you? And this is where often we want to point to the things that are a little lower on the totem pole. Some things that they're not super complex, they don't need to be you, but they are things that you can pull off of your plate and remove your thinking bandwidth from as well. Someone else can do them. And that actually does allow you to scale your business in a meaningful way, even if you are more service oriented. So I hope that that's helpful. If you do have questions about growth versus scaling, don't hesitate to reach out and let me know what they are. I love having this conversation. And I would say, again, just remember, virtually all businesses can grow. You can set that goal and you can bring in incremental revenue, but not all businesses have the ability to scale. But the one key takeaway I want to leave you with is that if you want to make any business scalable and really allow there to be greater ease in experiencing your growth, systems and processes will set you free. You have got to do them. Document things, make it easier to repeat, rinse and repeat. That allows things to be scalable. All right, hope that was helpful. See ya.